What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Martial Arts Monday review and another Hong Kong horror review. In fact, my final one for this October, my final review from this Lam Ching Ying vampire movie collection. And this movie does certainly qualify for a Martial Arts Monday because of the overwhelming awesomeness of the many martial arts fights featuring such greats as Sammo Hung, Lam Ching Ying, and Yuan Biao. So, I mean, you can do a lot worse than that as far as martial artists going at it. So I have been doing some of these kind of out of order. I believe chronologically, this is the first film on the set. This is from 1980. So this precedes any of the Mr. Vampire films. It's on the second disc. It's the eighth movie on here. And just to wrap up, just as a reminder, last year I reviewed Mr. Vampire. This year I reviewed Mr. Vampire 2, 3, and 4, and Mr. Vampire 1992. I kind of went out of order. I also reviewed Mad Ghost, and I believe that's it. So I still have many films on this set to review. I'll probably just end up watching all of them again next year because they're that good. And there's only 3 on here that I haven't watched. So yeah, but this, I think chronologically, this is the one that started it all. And a lot of the Mr. Vampire films, they were produced by Sammo Hung. He would have a cameo here and there, like in Mr. Vampire 3. They would be directed by Ricky Hu. He's in Encounters of the Spooky Kind in a small role as a rickshaw driver. Lam Ching Ying, of course, would go on to be Mr. Vampire. He has a role in this, more of a supporting role. He plays an inspector. Wu Ma has a small role in this. He would go on to be in many of these. Lung Chan and Fat Chung. The names. Would both go on to be in many of the films. I mean, there's just so many people. And this is where it all started with Encounters of the Spooky Kind, where you have Sammo Hung producing, co-writing, directing, and starring. And he knocks it out of the park in this one. Okay, Encounter of the Spooky Kind. Now, today on the Alucard channel, he had a big Halloween special where he invited a lot of YouTubers, including myself, to give their top 3 favorite horror sequels, and I actually went with Encounters of the Spooky Kind 2. So I'm not going to get to that one this year as far as the review goes, but check out that Alucard special. It was really cool. I wanted to do something a little different and something that tied into my reviews this October. So let's get to it. Plot-wise, it starts out with a dream sequence. This one has so many of the hallmarks of these films. The Jing Sha, the hopping vampires, the ghosts, the female ghost with half a face. A dream sequence that you're not sure if it's a dream sequence. Lots of great spooky atmosphere. Some mimicry or, a zombie or a corpse or some kind of supernatural being imitating a living person. They do this mirror thing where, you can make them do whatever you're doing. You also have a prank in the beginning of this, which would become a hallmark of many of the Mr. Vampire films, where the assistants or friends, in this case, are playing a prank. But then also, in the middle of the prank, a real ghost will show up. So I think that started here. That is something that happens to great humorous effect in the beginning of Mr. Vampire as well. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. Sammo Hung plays a guy named Courageous Chan. Okay, he's a rickshaw driver. He hangs out with a bunch of rickshaw drivers. This has got like a great sort of small town atmosphere where everybody knows each other. Him and all the rickshaw drivers go to get breakfast before they go out and do their little shift. And the guy that runs the breakfast sort of place tells them stories and fights with his wife to the point where they also have to duck out and run away. There's a couple like local peeping Toms, which is a little weird. And his wife is constantly giving him a hard time. I mean, he has a nightmare in the beginning. And you see some of the urns that the spirits are kept in that beginning part. Their voices talking to each other from the urns, and something breaks out and grabs in the beginning. It's pretty funny scene. But his wife is very sort of dissatisfied with him. He later drives, or he wheels a kind of a local bigwig in the town, or someone from out of town, a very wealthy person that, has a prestigious sort of reputation. But anyway, that guy ends up fooling around with his wife, and he sort of catches them, He catches her, but he's not sure who it was. He grabs it, finds a shoe, and he carries it around for most of the rest of the movie. He's trying to figure out who it was. And this guy wants to get rid of Sammo, so he conspires with a wizard, I guess you would call him, played by Lung Chan again as the villain. And he's got an assistant who's kind of creepy, and they conspire to get rid of Sammo, get him out of the way. This guy's brother is also like a wizard, Fat Chung's character, and they have a falling out. So he basically goes to Sammo and starts to help him on the sly, to kind of give him advice on what to do, because he is tricked into staying the night in a crypt. That happens 2 times. And let me say, the atmosphere in these crypts are just dirty, cobwebs, mealy worms all over the place, and mice. It's really creepy, good atmosphere. And so for the comedy, that makes it even funnier, because when he's acting afraid, you kind of believe it. So he has to survive the one night. The wizard is trying to scare him, and so he's trying to sort of, from a distance, possess one of the coffins. And I even like the way these coffins are shaped in this movie. They're not just, they've got these sloped sides and tops. So he's trying to at one point open up a coffin while Sammo is in the crypt, and out will come the Jingsha, and they will fight. Well, he has a bunch of eggs. He's got the other wizard tells him he has to get all these eggs, okay? And they do some kind of ceremony. And he smashes the eggs every time there's a crack in the lid, and it closes. But eventually something goes wrong, and the vampire comes out. And the vampire is played by Yuen Biao. So Yuen Biao, he was in the Seven Little Fortunes with Jackie Chan and Sammo, and I believe Wu Ma. They came up in the movie business together. Yuen Biao was like big time as far as Hong Kong action and kung fu movies. Cynthia Rothrock's favorite co-star ever. So he's in full vampire makeup, and it's really good. It's like real crusty looking. The teeth are all gnarly and crooked looking. Probably my second favorite Jingsha or hopping vampire makeup after that one in Mr. Vampire 4. But it's really good. So they have a fantastic fight. The vampire's doing all these leaning things. He's kind of looking for Sammo. At one time, Sammo's hanging upside down from a pole. And the difference is, these guys are so good at this stuff, the stunts and the physicality. He's hanging upside down, and his ponytail comes unwound, and he has to wrap it up because their 2 heads are separated by this. So that goes on a while, but eventually they fight, and it's a great fight because these guys can fight, and they can do fight choreography. Now, usually the vampires are kind of stiff-legged. They kind of cheat a little bit here because it's Yuen Biao, so he does throw in a few kicks here and there, but it's just a great fight. So there's 1 or 2 of those sort of crypt scenes. Then Sammo is framed for his wife's murder. Is she really dead? But he very kind of foolishly puts his hand in some blood and puts it up on the wall, and then the inspector shows up. The inspector is played by Lam Ching-ying. And he does have 2 distinct eyebrows in this rather than the unibrow, but they are, of course, they have to do something to his eyebrows in these movies, so they're curled up, like Ming the Merciless eyebrows in this one. So he's kind of all business, but he does kind of have a heart in the end, you find out. But if you look guilty, he's going to arrest you. So he gets arrested. And the thing is, in this movie, a guy that's built like Sammo, who wouldn't be Sammo, like a guy that can't fight like Sammo, who's built like that, bigger guy would probably be just straight up comic relief. But because he's Sammo, he's still a badass, even though it's funny to watch him become afraid and get scared and things. So he breaks out of jail. Then he has to hide out in a different cemetery, like crypt, mausoleum, what have you. And there's a very funny scene. It's so old that he actually leans on a coffin. It just opens up, and there's a body there. Worms everywhere, mice everywhere. So he decides he's just going to bed down next to it. It's probably not what I would do. And then you have a kind of a spell, and the thing wakes up, and they start mimicking each other. He gets up to take a leak. So does the corpse. It's some pretty funny scenes. And the other scene, in the scenes with the wizard sort of setting the wheels into motion and sort of causing all this to happen are good too, because he has to do these all-night marathons where he's concentrating and he's doing all these kind of rituals and things. And the other wizard has taught Sammo all the countermeasures, and his assistant is bringing him water to sip because he has to concentrate the whole time. it's pretty good. They really kind of established that pattern of, I'm going to try this evil spell, and there's a counter spell and things like that, the back and forth. So then after that, he escapes into the woods, and the inspector and his men close in on him. At one point, the inspector's men are sort of possessed, and even though they're trying to arrest Sammo doesn't want them to kill each other, so he's trying to help them not kill each other, even though they're trying to arrest him. It's really crazy. You kind of wonder, like, hey, is the other brother, the other wizard that's helping Sammo, is he really like on the up and up here? He seems like he is. And then you eventually get to a climax where it's literally like who could have the tallest base of operations as far as like a crypt. Because they've got swords, candles, all their different potions and things. This guy rolls in with like a 3-story high mobile magic tower. And then the other counter, Sammo and the other wizard have to compete with that. So they literally have to make theirs just as high, and they have it planned for that. It's pretty funny. And then they have a pretty epic battle at the end. I mean, it's really good. Oh, by the way, when the constable or inspector and his men are chasing Sammo, they eventually track him down in one of these sort of open air restaurants that you see in a lot of the Shaw Brothers, and Golden Harvest Kung Fu movies. And Sammo at one point picks up a bench and starts fighting with it. Now, if you've never seen Sammo Hung fight with a bench, you're like, a bench? Yeah, a bench. Like, just a little bench. The way he flips it, turns around, sits on it. It's crazy. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. So fantastic fight choreography, great atmosphere. Okay. I mentioned the eggs before. There's also chickens. They need chicken blood. They do actually kill a chicken. I mean, no animals were harmed in the making of this film except for that chicken and maybe a mouse or two. I don't know. I mean, I think mice can pretty much, like, if you put your weight on them, I think they could survive. But when Sammo was in that crypt, I swear to God, he rolled on a mouse. I don't know. That's what it looked like to me. I'm sure it was all right. But that chicken wasn't. So, if that's not your thing, be warned. In some of these movies, they kind of show the animal, and then they show like somebody killing it, and then they show like a head or something of a lizard or something, and it doesn't look real, or you kind of think it's probably not real. Yeah, no, the chicken, they did that to the chicken in this movie. Okay, so just as a way of comparison, I mean, I would say this movie is a little, the atmosphere is a little bit darker. Some of the humor is maybe, now I'm not going to say adult, but got those 2 peeping Tom guys. That's a little weird. Mr. Vampire is probably a better sort of gateway horror film if you've got younger kids between like 8 and 12 that want to get into these films. You might want to start with that one before this one, even though this one came first. So let's get to the rating now. Okay. How many hopping and kung fu fighting vampires am I going to give this one? How many hopping and kung fu fighting Yuen Biao vampires? And keep in mind, by the way, that's the only part that Yuen Biao plays. You never see him as Yuen Biao. He only plays that vampire. So they must have had a blast. He must have showed up. I mean, it's a pretty heavy makeup. They must have had a blast doing that. Maybe not putting the makeup on and off, but it was pretty cool that he did that, So it gets 5 out of 5. Because the action, the martial arts and the action in this one is top notch. Absolutely top notch. Comedy. Okay. How many, let's see, I'm going to give it, for comedy, I can't give it fake vampire teeth. I could, but I'm going to give it, how many buck naked Sammo Hungs am I going to give this movie? Because that does happen. You do see his bare bum. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. I'm hesitating a little bit, but I'm still going to go 5 out of 5. Overall, I think Mr. Vampire is sort of the more family-friendly type comedy movie. But this one is still very funny. 5 out of 5. For atmosphere, how many creepy crypts am I going to give this one? Atmosphere and horror elements, makeup at jobs, just everything. 5 out of 5. It just has like the best atmosphere. So overall ranking, I can't go Lam Ching Ying. Unibrow's in it because he's more of a supporting role in this one, and he doesn't even have a unibrow. I'm going to give it let's see. I'm gonna do Sammo Hung, agile, sizable but agile stomachs. Because if you've never seen him fight and you only look at a picture of this guy, you would actually pretty much be amazed. And he's somewhat lean in this. You know, he did get a little heavier later on, but I'm gonna go 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. Sammo Hung, sizable but yet agile fighting stomachs. I don't know if that made any sense. Is a 5 out of 5 movie. Boom, there I said it. Okay, so I gave Mr. Vampire a 5 out of 5, but one of the categories was a 4. This one is just 5 across the board. So far the best movie on this set. I really doubt if any of the later ones are going to top it. But I haven't done Encounter of the Spooky Kind 2, which is actually the first one that I saw. And this is a little bit longer review, I know that, but you know, we used to get VHS tapes from an Asian grocery store, and actually a lot of them were just they there's actual Chinese writing. I mean, characters written on them. In other words, they dubbed them, they ripped it, they copied them, and they still rented them. But you know, I mean, you couldn't get movies like that anywhere else back then, so I was happy to rent them, and that's how I was introduced to these films, the Encounters of the... Okay, so this one is Encounter of the Spooky Kind. The sequel is Encounters of the Spooky Kind 2. But, yeah, 5 out of 5 for this one. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Are you familiar with Sammo Hung or Yuan Biao? Have you seen this? Have you heard of it? I highly recommend it. Check it out if you want to see something different. This one is right up there with Mr. Vampire. Top notch. And who knows, maybe throughout the year, maybe halfway to Halloween, I'll review 1 or 2 more of these, and if not, I'll pick it up next Halloween. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Later.